and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about ATEEZ's Fireworks I'm the One, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the concept, the music video, and its connections to the storyline. Fireworks is a song that deals with the themes of passion and determination, that explores the way ATEEZ's fire actually sets them apart from the crowd. Now, in contrast to their previous title tracks, this is a song with 3 official titles, each of which can help us understand the concept that they're going for here. If the official Korean title is Playing with Fire, the section in parentheses suggests that they're the ones playing with it, thus creating fireworks through their music. And right off the bat, this idea is very interesting because if on the one hand the lyrics convey the idea that the risk that they're taking to play with this fire makes them superior in comparison to the rest of the crowd, on the other, the fact that they're sober in a world full of drunks also suggests that they are in control of this power in order to create something beautiful out of it. As Woo Young has pointed out, the song essentially represents the explosion of 8 flames who have different colors but are united by the same passion that makes them burst all at once, and in the video this idea is conveyed by ATEEZ arriving in a desolated landscape in order to start a revolution that will change the reality that surrounds them. As the boys told us in the teaser, even if this new world is very different from what they expected and people forgot to raise their heads to look at the stars, ATEEZ will break the silence and awaken the world with the fire that they have inside of them. But as it turns out, achieving this goal might actually be more difficult than what it seems. You see, even if at first glance this video seems to be focusing on the amazing performance that ATEEZ have prepared for this comeback, the MV also shows us the boys taking shelter in an underground station while seemingly preparing for a battle of some sorts. Even if Mingi is still on hiatus, the boys found a very creative way to include him in the story by making him speak through a radio as the other members organize their resistance, but the real giveaway that something sketchy is going on is actually the final appearance of the white man in the mask, who is a character that first appeared back in Answer and that seems to be following their steps. Now, since the boys have confirmed that Fever is a prequel to the Treasure series, these visuals tell us that this mysterious figure has been haunting them since the very beginning of their journey. But in order to understand why, we need to dig a bit deeper and actually rely on the clues that the boys gave us during their showcase and on the information that we can find in the diary version of their physical album. Now, since my copy of the album is still on its way, I will make a separate video to explain the Fever storyline once my album finally comes through, but in the meantime I also managed to find a lot of information that really show how insane this storyline is actually getting, so without further ado, let's dive right in and see what's going on. Now, much like what the boys themselves have said, Fireworks takes place right after the events that we saw back in Zero Fever Part 1, and as they told us in the showcase, the boys arrived to the new world as a direct consequence to the man in the fedora giving the hourglass to Hongjoong. Now, during the Q&A, ATEEZ actually revealed that this object is a chromer, which is a magical device created with the sun and other items that has the ability to connect different dimensions with one another. As I mentioned in my video about Fever Road, the chromer is an object that has different functions depending on the phases of the moon. When the moon is a crescent, the chromer can deliver messages through dreams, but when there is a full moon, the device can actually teleport people from one dimension to the other, and this is exactly what takes place between the ending of the diary film and the beginning of Fireworks. You see, according to the intro of the album's diary version, when Hongjoong wakes up from his dream and discovers that the chromer is now in his possession, he and the other members get teleported to the dimension where the Fedora people actually came from. Now, much like what we saw in Fireworks, this new world is called Streetland, and even if it's very similar to the reality that we live in, Songhwa actually described this world as a dystopia, and he's right about that, because this reality is terrifying. As soon as the chromer zaps the boys into the other dimension, ATEEZ are very confused about what just happened. The man in the fedora just told them about the existence of multiple dimensions, and before they could do anything about it, the chromer did its thing and sent them to another version of the warehouse that is located in the Streetland. But as it turns out, the boys' adventure has just begun, because as soon as they get there, the warehouse is attacked by none other than giants. Now, this part here is actually insane, because the diary describes these giants as creatures who are dressed in white and have their faces completely covered by a mask, so in case you were wondering who these men in white were, this is the answer that you were looking for. They are not another version of ATEEZ, they are not Mingy, they are not Yuno, and they are not even just one. These are entities that are actually called android guardians, and they are creatures that look human but are none other than AIs. Now when these giants attack the warehouse, Hongjoong actually notices that they're looking for the Chromer, so he creates a diversion throwing a piece of glass out the window, tricking the guardians into believing that he threw the Chromer instead. This allows the boys to escape the warehouse and take the hourglass along with them, but soon enough the giants attack them once again, and this time they are not as lucky. As they take shelter in the forest, the guardians injure Woo-young and manage to steal the Chromer in the process, and even if the boys get saved by a young girl, now ATEEZ are in trouble because without the Chromer they are stuck in the street land and cannot find their way home. As the video shows us, this is a very difficult world to live in, and throughout their journey, the boys meet a series of characters that actually explain them why. You see, the Streetland here is a dystopia where people are controlled by a gas that arises from a dump and that actually deprives people of their emotions by making them fall into an illusion. This is why we see a quarantine sign in the back of this shot, and the boys are being surrounded by people wearing a mask. As the song tells us, ATEEZ are sober in a world full of drunks. They didn't breathe the gas that covers the city in the distance, and they are the only ones who can break this control with the passion of their emotions. But accomplishing this task is easier said than done, because as the boys learn to navigate this new reality, they also have to be careful not to get intoxicated and avoid the giants at all costs. The problem with this is that the giants have the Chromer that they need in order to go back, and this is where the underground station comes into play. You see, in the diary, a character called Left Eye actually tells them that that is the hideout of the Guardians, so as Songhwa told us in the showcase, that is a place that is connected to them trying to leave, because in order to get the Chromer back, the boys have to go to the bunker and retrieve the device. Now, since in the video we don't see the Chromer, we can assume that Fireworks is actually showing us the boys trying to regroup and make a plan in order to accomplish this task. Since we see the Songhwa is practicing with weapons and Hongjoong is wandering around the bunker, the video is foreshadowing a confrontation that may or may not be successful, but in order to see how this will play out, we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you when my album comes. Bye bye!